Welcome back, guys, to the Dr. Mo Show, where we give you the freedom to shift. What that means is that we give you permission to step out of the traditional into what's possible. Today, we're chatting with Zulfiya, and your world is AI. So, introduce yourself a little bit for me.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for having me, Dr. Moore. My name is Zulfiya Forsythe. I'm a CEO and founder of Motley Group with data analytics and AI solutions company. We help businesses to streamline their operations, their reporting, with AI.
So, I know a lot of, especially healthcare providers, have had a difficult time adapting. We're slow adopters, as most of medicine education and old boy finance are
Yeah,
slow adopters to change. And we know this. It's turning the Titanic. It's turning a very large boat that's headed for an iceberg in healthcare. And so as AI comes into the mix and you work with corporations, companies, I see AI as freedom. I really do. I see it as something that can enhance our patient care. From an entrepreneurial standpoint, I see that it can take away the tasks, not take away the tasks, automate the tasks that are repetitive, mundane. Tell me your thoughts on that.
absolutely. I actually want to take you back of how I started this whole business.
Yeah.
I was working as a corporate accountant and a senior healthcare company. And I was just doing basically monthly reporting, showing where financials are at and doing the expense record, expense reimbursement and also bank reconciliations. Every month was just the same thing that would just take a lot of time. And I also would see my team members spending like, okay, month end is coming, like this week is going to be just intense, late nights and evenings. And I thought, okay, there must be a better way. Everything's coming from the system. Why can't we just kind of map it out on a back end so it comes the way we want to, so we don't have to be these janitor of the books, like cleaning things up constantly and like matching and mapping things with like Excel formulas, and it's just well then that's prone to corruption and basically crushing. And then I started kind of tinkering and I started getting introduced into Visual Basics, and that's like taking years and years back. That's my first introduction into Syntax world. And I was like, oh, I can record these steps and just press F5 and it's going to be done for me. And I just fell in love. And then I kind of started going to IT department and kind of seeing what IT folks are doing there and begging my way into it. Like, please take me in. Like, please, please, please. Like, I want to be part of this magic world, because at that time, the VP showed me like basically millions of rows of patient data, and just clicking one button, all of a sudden like it all gets updated, all the KPIs like showed up, and I'm like, wow, this is amazing. I got to learn this, like we got to do this. So I got so lucky, they got me in, like super grateful for that day. I still have it written like on my diary because that was a big day for me. And that's where I kind of started getting into like the world of data analytics, working with data, like cranking reports to kind of like, oh, you want to see that type of a patient record data, like who's coming in, for example, what kind of nurses, like what's the patient per nurse, for example, ratio, and then just kind of like start growing from then on. And then I moved on to other positions also in healthcare, and I started COVID came in. Basically, I got laid off, but I was like, all right, let me start looking into helping, like do freelancing, basically, helping small businesses on, with what I know, and kept at it, and now I have my Motley Group. Basically, we help clients from real estate to veterinary space and giving them that freedom, automating all those tasks that someone would be doing like every week, every month, like those Excels, like for example, in veterinary space, if they have Cornerstone, download the Excel there, download from QuickBooks Online, download from HubSpot, and they have to like manually kind of make sense of the data, where they would have to manually marry those spreadsheets together to kind of see the big picture. What we do on a back end, we automate that. So no more of, if the executive is asking, what my case volumes today? Like you don't have to go there and like download the multiple reports, like figuring out this Excel formulas to produce that. We build it once. So basically, they know, okay, my daily counts for yesterday was that many patient visits, for example, on veterinary space. They came with these illnesses or diseases, and this is what we've done. So they get automated like alerts if certain numbers are dropping now. So they don't have staff that's now like have to maintain these spreadsheets like week after week or month on monthly basis and sit there like late evenings if their CFO was like, oh, can you give me those numbers? Oh shoot, like I gotta go like prepare this basically, I gotta go put together and I have to trouble double check to make sure that these formulas are not like, get corrupted or things are like correct basically. And I have to like scramble to get it done. And if there are any changes in record keeping system, they have to rerun it again. They have to redo the entire thing again. So like me knowing that world, this is the whole thing, my whole journey started. Okay, how can I make this better? How can I elevate that stress of evening and late nights and weekends sometimes to like to provide the reporting, for executive team, for example, to make those informed decisions and do it once and then alert them if certain KPIs are down so they can like take informed decisions, change their strategies around their product, around their services, and kind of catch the customers that are leaving, not when they're done, when they left already, because usually they're looking at the month, once the month is in and like, oh shoot, this happened. But really what like when it's happening, it's like, what can we do? How can we engage with them? What really didn't work, and also from AI standpoint, like another way of the way I'm looking on AI actually is just different way of ex show like different way of interacting with information. Now it's like, all right, you're looking at the report, for example, what we see from our customers. Now they want to just a chat with it. They want to have a conversation with that tool. For example, one thing they're looking at the report and clicking and seeing those reports that we build are interactive, but now they want to kind of have a conversation with that. Like, explain me more what happened. So I don't have to go click. Like, give me the insight. What happened with this case volume? Like, what happened on this date? Why the certain period, like it dropped? Oh, maybe the facility lost electricity, for example, you know, or there was a huge outage, some kind of weather happened, and basically now it's giving that insight back to it. Oh, this is why it happened. Oh, for example, electricity went off due to the weather outage because those things happen sometimes. And you see that for some reason for that period, the patient visits dropped. So now you have a conversation piece where you conversing with the AI tool that's kind of giving you back some information instead of you clicking. So these are one of the ways that we're seeing. And also with AI tools, it's the same thing. Now you enhancing the freedom of instead of going through all of these enterprises that you have, all these systems, we're talking about HubSpot for marketing, we're talking about patient record system, or we're talking about QuickBooks Online. Instead of going in there, logging in and looking things up, you tie it all back on the back end, and now you just ask a chatbot to give you that information.
That sounds amazing. I'm like, okay, that sounds good. Because I'm literally, when you're speaking, I'm thinking so I have a medical practice. Funny enough, I actually created an EMR software that'll launch Q2. So that's in process. Again, all these things to help various levels, whether it's taking care of the patients or taking care of the people who take care of the patients. But when you're saying this, I'm thinking, yes, because we look at our metrics, for example, and we look at, oh, this is what happened this month. We went up or we went down in order to get those KPIs, which is key performance indicators.
Yes,
So in
thank
order
you. Yeah.
to grab those, we have to look back and like it's more speculation instead of in the moment. And that's exactly kind of part of what I did in my EMR is a real-time dashboard. And then that's what we're actually working out that I'm certain we will implement API or AI and do an API for the AI
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
in there. But I'm thinking about this and I'm just listening, going, why does everything not do this? Because I know when we have so for example, we reconcile whatever. So we reconcile transactions and it
Yeah,
takes about 30 man hours. That would
yeah,
AI 30 nanoseconds.
yeah, yeah. But it's at the same time something that you repeat every month because you have to look at it. So if you map it out, yes, I don't, here's, I want to kind of full disclosure, right? It's not like AI would just come in and like all of a sudden learn it. You have to train AI, you
Oh, I
have to
wish.
teach it, you have to map things out and you build it. But the beauty of it, you build it once, right? And then you kind of just monitor it, how it's working. But even I want to step back even from AI side, what I see from our clients of just talking to people. There's so many processes that are just so manual. Even let's take AI out. There's no even data analytics, not a lot of even like facilities, veterinary facilities, or even like eye care facilities or medical facilities are utilizing these BI tools, business intelligence tools that basically marry data across all these enterprises they have and give them the overview on the business and with the ability to drill down. Because what they still doing, they still have paper records on their patients,
Yeah.
what I'm hearing, because I have friends that are in that industry, so they're complaining constantly that they have to sit there and like in paper records, like all like getting teared down and like it's hard to see. And then they have to like look up that patient and figure out the diagnostic for that patient. And they have to like look through these papers. I'm like, wow. Like so much time could be saved if those paper records were basically inputted electronically. Then on a back end, it get dissected, basically each word, and then you can query that word on the back end so you can see what worked, what did not work for this type of a patient with this type of diagnostic and what type of treatments that were applied. What was the percent of success rate? And then you can like make your informed decision in the future. So you can say, okay, that this didn't work with this much percent, for example,
Right.
but this worked instead of, but now it takes like a while for just a, practitioner to go through all of that.
Well, it's funny because when you're speaking, I'm thinking, so I arrange things a bit differently. So we met through Dan Martell.
Yes.
And so then, full disclosure, that's where we know each other from. That's why I joke because I keep that book over my head, not to advertise for Dan, to remind me to continually buy back my time, continually do the job that I am called to do without the things underneath cluttering
Yes.
the day, cluttering the weeks, and literally just blocking out your time. And when you're saying this, I'm thinking this is why we have playbooks, in our practice with checklists, and the way we did it is a spreadsheet. So, and it took probably 3 or 4 months before my staff to really get on board with, guys, this is a single living document. Every time you have to click out and go search for something, it's inappropriate. Like that's not acceptable. Even simple systems like that are like the very beginning kernels of what you're saying. So it's like, just make sure, just removing those steps. Way back in residency, we had badge trackers on to look for, and they did spaghetti diagrams to see how many times we went to a patient's
Mm,
room, went back, went around, went back. I mean, this is like eons ago. Dinosaurs roamed the earth. It was a long
mm.
time ago. And so, but we had, and the amount of time that was wasted by doing different tasks and going in and out to a room, which is, I mean, we never had computers on wheels at the time, right? We didn't have that. So we had, we just, so they got those so we could go when, we didn't have tablets to work from. Even like tactics like that were the very beginning of what you're saying, but you have taken this and you have hockey sticked it up. So not only, so it's like every time you see a task that's repetitive or manual, repetitive and manual, right? Where it happens every month, happens every week, and it takes, like I said, 30 hours of manpower a week. And it can be instantaneously done, nearly instantaneously done once it's trained, right? So
Yeah.
here's the kicker. How hard is it? Because I know it's the same way in changing careers and shifting anything. I shouldn't ask how hard it is. I should ask, what are your thoughts on putting in the time and investment to create a good system?
This is a very good one. Good question, actually. I was thinking about it when you were describing your system of how you put it together right now, playbook. You know what I noticed that most of the times we think, oh man, like it will take so much time. Like I'll just do it. It's just so much faster for me just to do it, just to get it done and like move on to my next task, because I have so many things on my plate and I just have to like plow through them basically. I don't have time to sit there and like figure out the process. Here's the thing, use AI to help you. Here's another thing. You can use AI. So there's tons of tools out there, like Loom is to record your videos or Fireflies to record your videos. While you're doing this, and talking through this, it will literally generate the transcript. Then you take the transcript and then you can plop it into ChatGPT, but make sure that you turn off for data for training. So you're not releasing your data out to the wild world, basically. Um, while making sure you have a secure AI tool that you're using. So make sure you turn off data for training and then ask it to run, to basically take that mesh and create documentation for you step by step. It will do that for you. There's also another tool, it's called Script AI that you can pay for. And same thing, as you talking, you are recording your screen and it's recording documentation on the spot that you can go and edit. So pretty amazing. So
Yeah.
basically, yeah, and then you can just hold it in your, put it in some depository where you have where all your other appropriate people with appropriate accesses can review this and can basically go from it. So I think with the systems, it's yes, it sounds painful. It sounded even painful like way back when I was, just starting switching career because I did switch career from accountant to IT. So it's completely and I remember even I also have my CPA. When I was studying my CPA, I spent probably year and a half, 2 years of my life in libraries because I was working full time as well. Like every evenings, every weekends. But now you have the tool like AI to help you kind of digest these things, like break it in small pieces so you can understand the concepts better. And if you're looking into switching, same thing, from accounting to IT, that's a whole lot of skills and tools that now you can leverage AI to help you to kind of break it down in more manageable tasks and also explain you the concept. And almost like someone's holding your hand and telling you, well, explain to me like a 3-year-old, right? And now it's gonna, because whatever you understand is what you actually gonna, Dan says, it's not what's taught, what's caught, right? So that's his famous line. Uh, so exactly, if you understand it, then you're gonna catch it.
I love that. And I learn new things every day. It's so funny. You can teach an old dog new tricks. We are learning some new tricks. And literally part of me is like, I don't have time to learn to use AI. That's where my brain, my initial reflex is I don't have time to learn this. But then what happens is because I that is my actual published book. That one's a new one that's coming out probably at the end of this year. I keep adding things. It really needs to be a shorter book than it is. So we're gonna have to subtract. We'll have to do the Elon Musk subtraction method on that. But that book, I work so much on mindset. So when I say this, I hear this reflex thought of I don't have time to learn, like you said, I'm just gonna hop in and do the task. I don't have time to learn AI.
Yeah,
We don't have time not to. I mean, that's the
yeah,
bottom line.
that's what it is. I mean, the writing is on the wall. You see I know we're common people. We're not big tech people, right? We're not, but you can kind of see the trend where it's coming. And, and it's so accessible to you right now. Some of it is a lot free. A lot of the tools are free. So it's not even expensive. So what's happening in right now with what AI is doing is actually trying to make knowledge accessible to everyone because you can converse in different languages. Even, for example, I'm originally from Uzbekistan. For if you take pre-AI era of someone who does not speak English, they would never be reading Harvard Medical published article, for example. But now with AI, they could because they speak Russian, for example, and they can just access that article, translate that into Russian, and now they're able to access that knowledge that before would be
Yeah.
probably very hard to do. So I think that's pretty amazing.
I love that. That is true freedom, right? Freedom of information. And so many, like you said, these resources don't cost, some of them are nominal, right? But
Yeah.
we're not paying $100 a month for ChatGPT, for example. It's $20 a month.
It's $20 a month, yeah. And you can even try a free version just to start with, just to kind of start tinkering
Right.
and getting used to this conversation piece with something is. So here's the difference. Internet has been here for a long, long time, right?
I remember
Everything
before the internet, so yes,
that
I'm officially old. It's good.
So what is different about AI, right? Because it's literally scraped everything that was there on the internet and giving it to you, right? So the difference there is you could just go on Google and look up the same thing. The difference is the conversation piece, is getting that feedback, is basically talking to it and tell me more. Like, come up, like, tell me things that I don't know, or things that are, for example, if you're trying to get into healthcare space or veterinary space, uh, and you just a recent graduate, so you can ask a question. how do I pick the niche in those industries, according to my interest, to my hobbies, or something that I really like or passionate about. Advise this to me. So you can just, ask that question and see what it gives you. What type of skills do I need to know? Or how can I prepare for this interview? Or like, how can I basically, yeah, how can I achieve the things that I want, you know?
Well, it's like being able to brainstorm with somebody who doesn't get offended.
That's a good point. Yeah. That's a good point. And
Because
then someone that you're also not intimidated, right? Because I feel like what happens is that a lot of people get intimidated. And another thing I was reading, very interesting study there, um, with AI, a lot of like, for example, even with doctors, right? Some people feel very like, let's say, intimidated, or like they don't want to share certain things. They feel ashamed or embarrassed about certain things, right? And that's where they can just go talk to the AI that has no person and share those things. I mean, it could be good or bad, right?
sure.
I could see it being good or bad, but at least those things are like raised. The issues are raised, and there's some type of, instead of like all piling them up basically, and the issues could be raised and some solutions could be found.
Well, and I agree 100% because even talking about something to a computer is
Yeah.
still talking. So you're getting used to talking about the subject. If it's a private topic to you and you can't even bring it up to your doctor or your therapist, you could bring it up and practice talking about it because from your side, that gets your side of the street clean. You learn how to talk about it. You get some information in the process, and it'll make you think about things because it gives you feedback. It'll make you think about things. Oh, I wouldn't have thought to ask that because getting into the doctor is not no easy task these days. So, you're prepared when you go in. Things that people don't even see. I feel like in medicine, we're sometimes living in a world 50 years ago, and it's just it's hard. It's hard to turn the boat. It's hard to turn the boat.
I remember those days actually. I totally relate. I mean, I worked at the renal care previously, concurrently when I was running my business, and I would see this like QMS system, very old, looks like the whole front end just looked super clunky, would not be integrated with any other systems. And
Oh,
yeah, we did the whole
my eyes twitching. Yes.
And then like we worked with the accounting department, for example, because they were looking at their revenues on all these different inpatient, outpatient, and then like trying to figure out what's their revenues after all of the insurances, first, second tier, how it goes, right? Like primary insurance, secondary insurance, tertiary insurance, and like just to get to that number.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, like I remember like all those Excel spreadsheets, and they had like multiple facilities that we'd have to do. So we worked actually on automating that with my previous manager on the entire process, like mapping on a back end, creating those basically reporting tools where it's going to be dropped on their lap instead of them running any type of formulas. Then the Excel report would like take minutes to open and freeze up in the middle. Just for them to get those numbers so they can know what their revenue is going to be like, what their numbers will like. So yes, I definitely remember those days at dinosaur age. Yeah, but I can definitely see why, because healthcare is such a important piece, and it's hard to pivot. You need to make sure 100% is good, because that's exactly what we did when we built our reporting. It took us like almost a year-long project,
Wow.
because we had to make sure the numbers are right. Because this is very critical. The numbers are right, the amounts are correct, like the insurance is mapped correctly. So lots of double checking, triple checking, and now it saved up so much time from that accounting department. No late nights and evenings, like every month waiting. Oh my God, I have a month in, I have to like run this thing, and I have to like make sure that I do it on time because we have to release it at these dates. So yes, agree.
So, I mean, although it took a year to build out, which seems like, so again, to be devil's advocate, my brain sort of says that's a year, but you're
Yeah,
investing a year with infinite returns. And that,
absolutely. That was a huge renal care facilities. I mean, they have over 250 locations. So, I mean, yes. So, and then it also helps with scaling your business, right? You need to make sure, if you don't have those systems, how can you scale? Because you're
right.
going to be constantly like in this rabbit, that you constantly are trying to catch up and you don't know your numbers. Oh my gosh. And by the time you prepare those numbers, they're outdated.
Right.
They're already old. So like it's hard to scale if you don't have those processes and systems in place. And sometimes some people think like, oh my gosh, like, and some people ask, like, if I put the systems, what am I gonna do? Like, what am
Yeah.
I gonna do? Right?
Like it'll
Now I
take
have
my
all these.
job.
Yeah, no, there's
Mm.
just more things will pop up because now you put those and then I'm sure all of us have these like nice to have, wish list
Right.
projects that
That
we
to-do
never
list
get
on the
to.
right side of the Trello board that just kind of sits over there, like if we ever get time.
Yes, exactly. Forget. And then year after year, that happens. It's like, oh, shoot, I did not meet that benchmark, or I did not go and spend time with my family, or took that trip, or, climbed that mountain,
Yeah, there's
you
plenty
know.
of things for us to do. And the beauty of it, now some people really like to do repetitive work, for example, especially repetitive brain work. It's cathartic for them. They like it. Great. There are going to be plenty of organizations that do not adopt AI starting out. There are lots of non-adopters. But imagine if you're in that middle group where your repetitive tasks are taken, and then you free up this brain space to grow and build and help other people and grow your influence and continue to build and all that brain space. It's like when I get people food freedom because that's a big part of what I do for the patient side, the coaching side. When I get people food freedom, they have all this brain space and you're like, I didn't know I was spending that much time on X, Y, and Z. And it's
Yeah. Yeah, no, 100%. I actually agree with you. And creativity, right, is something that AI cannot do. We
yeah,
are humans, are the ones creating AI. We the ones are have that creative thought provoking. And here's another thing I'm actually discovering, which is pretty fascinating. With AI, what I'm seeing is the prompting is actually a creative piece because you can be with prompting, you can just ask, okay, you are, let's say, you're a marketing agent for veterinary or healthcare, whatever. Your job is this and this. The beauty that I'm finding that the output, right, is dependent on how creative, how detailed is your prompt, is what you putting in there. And I just love how some people like, oh, think of it that you are envisionary. Make sure that your responses are, for example, cohesive or thought-provoking or interesting, insightful, that have like, and it's just amazing of what type of questions human is able to ask because your responses are equal to the quality of questions that you're asking. And what I'm noticing is that the quality is so high when you just have these like such creativity coming. But for that creativity to happen, you need to have a mental space. You need to not be in a flight and fight zone. You need to be
yeah.
kind of like this like go outside in nature or just take a 5 minute and kind of like be in peace to get that juices flowing, that your creativity is coming. And then there's so many tools right now, actually, like Bolt.new, for example, one of them, Lovable, is for non-tech users, non-tech founders to create their own products that they always wanted to, but they didn't have means, for example, to hire developer, right, to help them to build this. Or that code is like so hard, and like, oh, I have to go learn like Python, for example, or I have to go learn other JavaScript, like all these technical codes that are just so hard that people take years to. They go to college to learn these things. And like I could never start, but now you have Lovable and Bolt.new. Like check it out, it's all with prompt. You can
Wow.
build your own like software. Yes, it could not be. I do see that it might be like not something software that could be scalable, but it could be MVP version of it, for example, minimal viable product version of it, just to test your idea, to proofread
Fun,
it.
see if anybody else wants it.
Yes, exactly. See if anyone wants it, and you can go and do it now. So you have that mental, but you need that mental space to be available for you to create.
Yep. Yeah, in order to create that space, that's one thing I'm at another pain point currently. And to create that space, you do need to invest. And I've had quite a few physicians that wanted to be coached by me. We talked it out, and they've said, I can't do it. They said I can't do it. And that those hurt me. Those hurt me because I know they need to, right? It's like, and I talked about it, I think on a uh either a live or a reel I recently did, because it's almost like when you're running, you do intervals and you walk that minute before you run so you can make it to the end of the race, right? If you just run and then you can't run anymore, that's a very different race. That's not an intentional race. It's not a planned race. In life, if you just work and work and work and work until you hit that point where all you want to do is retire because you can't do anything else, like your brain is fried, your body's fried,
Yeah.
your crap, take the time, invest when you can, invest early. And it does take work. Like you said, you have to build.
Yeah, and absolutely, I don't want to. And here's the thing, right? I don't want to like kind of create the um, incorrect view, right, of things that you just kind of like start and all of a sudden you like understand everything. It does take investment, does take time, but it's gonna pay back to you. And so many like, and when I talk to some to my future clients, to just people around me, I realized that a lot of people hesitant. It's like, oh, it's going to take money to build this reporting. Like, I have someone that's doing it right now and doing manually probably, but they're not seeing that exact benefit that you invest once, you start early on, and then now it's going to rip basically. You're going to see these fruits coming in and your free time and your availability and just doing what you really always wanted to because time will pass
Yeah.
either way.
Yes.
Time will pass either way. And a lot of people think, oh, I'm like, it's too late for me, I'm all sad. It's uh, I just want to retire, whatever. I'm just gonna, but time will pass anyway. So you just want to make sure that I think all of us want to minimize the regrets, right? That we actually did things that we wanted to, no matter how hard they were, that we pursued them. Because then that's when we're gonna look back at and we'll be like, all right, like I'm proud that I was able to maintain my promises and go after the things that I always wanted to, even though some of them might not work out, but I tried, and some of them might work out.
And that's it. You went for what you believed in. And that's kind of my thing. It frustrates me when people, okay, let me just speak for myself. It frustrates me when I am stuck in a situation where I feel like I can't make a difference. I feel like I can't help other people in the same situation. That's what really gets me when I feel locked in and just so frustrated. It's a different thing. Now I've traded frustration for overwhelm because sometimes there are a lot of things that need to be changed and you've got to systematically get through them. But that, like you said, the time's going to pass anyway. And we talk a lot about this, either on the podcast or in my lives about choosing relevance over retirement because I don't feel like Dan Sullivan, who wrote with Ben Hardy, he wrote 10x is easier
Yep.
than 2x. And
Yeah.
he sets 25-year goals. He's 82, I think now. And he has no plans of slowing down because he loves what he does. Now, does he work 40 hours a week? No, he doesn't. But he's invested in the systems. So what he does is what he does, and he is the top of his organization from the standpoint of the creativity, the knowledge, all of that experience he can impart to other people. And that's what I implore people to grow and build and just and have the courage to do so because it's hard. It's easier to just work another shift. It's easier to just go to your accounting job. When you lost your job in accounting, the easiest next thing would have been to just get another job in accounting.
I actually, so by that time I was already working as a data analyst, but I was working as more system analyst because I moved from accounting to system analyst. So I learned everything about the system. Like although I was working for senior care facility, they used real estate system because, it's again, like it has a part of it was a senior care, but I knew I wanted to be data analyst.
Yeah.
I knew I was like, I want to get into data analyst. So I didn't settle for anything less. I didn't settle for another system analyst because I know there's for someone who's listening in IT, maybe who has some understanding, it's like, oh, sounds same thing, but it's kind of different. So I knew that I wanted to look more closely at the patient data. So I didn't settle until I actually got what I wanted. And I still kept servicing clients and kind of like on back end because, and I remember my first client that I helped, I was like so scared. I'm as a freelancer, you the one that your clients come to for expertise. I'm like, can I do this? I have nobody to kind of ask questions because before in the corporate, you have a team, you have a boss that you can go to and like vet your solutions on. Here, clients coming to you and asking you to do this. And I'm like, oh, but I'm gonna just figure this out. I'm gonna learn, I'm gonna research heck out of it and let's try. And again, like taking those risks on just from myself, I'm so happy that I did this
Yeah.
because I remember being scared and I still did it scared. And now, years after, like what, 4 years after now, I do this full time. I help many clients to do data analytics and AI, and I'm just very grateful.
That's amazing. I love the story. I love the fact that you didn't settle until you got what you wanted. And that might change.
Yes,
That might change, and that's okay. So
yes.
if people want more information on your services, where do they go to find you?
Absolutely. You can find me at Zulfiya Forsythe on Instagram or LinkedIn at omaldegroup.com as well. And then I would love to share with you, just DM me, and I would love to share you how to create your AI assistant course.
Love it. Love it. I will be DMing you again.
Thank you.
So, all right. Thank you so much for your time. Thanks to the listeners for your time and attention today. We will see you back in a couple of weeks.